Hi friends, welcome back to my kitchen and welcome if you are new. I'm Cheryl, this is Table Full of Joy, and we are continuing our recipes using Roni today. But we are doing an extra recipe with this one. We're gonna make some homemade French bread to go with our recipe that we're making with our box of Roni. I found a recipe for a soup using Roni and it really excited me. So the recipe calls to use the chicken pilaf flavored Roni. I don't have that. I have the cheddar broccoli, so we're gonna kind of do our own little twist on this recipe. We're gonna follow it loosely, but we are gonna use a different Roni in it. And we are gonna make some homemade French bread to go with the soup tonight. I think it's gonna be delicious because what can be better than fresh homemade bread to dip in your soup when you're making it? So we need to get our bread going because it needs to rise for an hour before we roll it out and get the bread made. And then it has to rise again before we bake it. So let's get this done. We've got several ingredients to get in the bowl to get this done. Friends, I have not made French bread in, I'm gonna say probably 2 years. The last time I made it was when I was still at the sorority house, and it was a weekly occurrence for me there. And so I'm excited to get my hands back in some dough and make some French bread. So let's get this made. All right, so I have my stand mixer here. I've got 2 cups of hot water. You want it to be around 105 degrees. I'll move my cutting board so you guys can see what I'm doing. So it's around 105 degrees, pretty close to that. We're gonna put that water in here. We're gonna put a tablespoon of yeast in here. Go just a hair. That was a little bit shy. And then I'm gonna add my 2.5 teaspoons of granulated sugar. Our sugar is what's gonna feed our yeast. I'm gonna use my dough hook here just to give it a little bit of a mix, just to get things started. We need to let this sit for a couple of minutes until it starts to foam. We want it to have some really good action to it. We want it to have some really good bubbles going on in here. That tells us that our yeast is active, it's alive, it's doing great things in there. So we're gonna let this sit for just a few minutes and we'll come back and start getting our bread put together. All right, you can see how beautiful and bubbly this is right here. This looks perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and add in our flour. We need to put in 5 cups of just all-purpose flour. You want to make sure that you level your measuring cups when you're doing bread. I'm going to go ahead and put in. So the thing with bread is it is never an exact science. The recipe may say that it takes 5 cups of flour, but it may only take 4 because bread is very temperamental when it comes to like weather and all that kind of stuff, moisture. So there's 4. Let's go ahead and turn our mixer on. We're gonna let this mix. I'm gonna go ahead and put in, let's let it mix first. And then we're gonna put in a teaspoon of oil and our salt. I'm not gonna put my salt in until after I get my yeast incorporated into my flour because salt will kill your yeast if you're not careful. Go ahead and put in my teaspoon of oil now. Get that put in there so that can start incorporating into the bread. And we're gonna put in our 2.5 teaspoons of salt. And I'm using my Redmond's real salt. If you're new around here, this is my favorite salt. There's a half, there's 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. All right, let's get our mixture back on. You can see our dough, the texture. This is exactly what I want. We're gonna put just a little bit of flour on our board, and this recipe says to knead it the last few times by hand. So we're gonna put just a little tiny bit of flour on our board so it doesn't stick, and we're gonna knead this a little bit with our hand. All right, so we're gonna put just a little bit of flour down on our board. I am gonna remove my jewelry because I don't wanna be picking dough out of my rings. I'm gonna roll up my sleeves. Friends, this is a beautiful dough. This is absolutely beautiful. All right, so we're just gonna knead this just a few times with our hand. I love working with dough. If you've never made bread, friends, you really should. It is so therapeutic. For me, to get my hands in some dough and to make some fresh bread is just the best thing ever. I love the feel of the dough. You can see how beautiful this dough is. It's absolutely it's just a beautiful, beautiful dough. All right, I think we have this rolled about as much as we need to. Like I said, we don't want to over knead it, but I did want to get it kneaded a little bit. So we have a bowl right here. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of this. This is what it's going to rise in. So I'm going to take my dough, I'm going to roll it, I'm going to flip it. This is so that it doesn't dry out. We're going to put some saran wrap on this, and it needs to rise in a warm place in your kitchen for an hour. I must have had some stuff on my cutting board. All right, so we're going to cover this and it's going to rise. All right, friends, our bread is rising. It is huge. We're not quite ready to deal with it. It has about another 20 minutes before we can pull it out of the bowl, cut it in half, and then we'll shape it. But we need to get our soup going. And as I said at the beginning of this video, we are using a cheddar broccoli rice-a-roni to use our soup base. I have some, let me grab it. So I had boiled some chicken for our dogs, and I saved the broth from both of these. And I'm gonna put this in my pot. I wanna get this heated before I put the chicken in it. I'm gonna put a couple of chicken breasts in there and let them cook so that I can just come in there with my mix and chop, my Pampered Chef meat chopper that I use when I do ground beef. And I'm just gonna break the chicken up once it's done. And the soup is gonna have just kind of a more of a shredded type chicken in it than a diced. It just seems to be something more that I'm kind of craving tonight. So I'm gonna put this in my pot over here. So this was just boiled chicken thighs, is all this was. And it says we want 6 to 7 cups of chicken broth, which that should be pretty close to it, but I am gonna add some of my Better Than bouillon that I love so much. I've got some in the fridge. I'm gonna pull that out once this gets kind of defrosted and thawed. Then I'm gonna put some of that Better Than bouillon in there. We'll put our chicken breasts in there. We'll get those cooking, get the rest of our ingredients together. This soup is gonna go together really, really quick, which I love. It is kind of a mimic of a broccoli cheddar soup, kind of. I mean, it's gonna have the cheddar broccoli rice-a-roni. We're gonna put some broccoli in it. We're gonna put some cream cheese. We're gonna do some cream and chicken soup. We're gonna put some carrots in it. So it's gonna have some really great flavor to it. I think it's gonna go amazing with this bread. As I said, the bread's got about 20 more minutes before we can start worrying about shaping that dough. And then it has to rise again for another 30 to 45 minutes until it's doubled in size again. It's gonna make 2 beautiful loaves of French bread, which I'm super excited about. So there just may be some French toast for breakfast this weekend, maybe. We'll see what happens. I've got 2 loaves of French bread, so I might as well find something to do with them. And that's the perfect thing to do with homemade French bread after it sits out for a little bit and dries, is some delicious French toast. Hubby might be excited about that on Saturday night. We might do that for dinner, but we'll see what happens. So friends, we are going to get this heated up so we can get our chicken put in. So our broth just came to a boil. I'm gonna put a little bit of our Better Than bouillon in here. Just wanna make sure that it has really, really good flavor. And we're gonna go ahead and put we've got 2 chicken breasts. We're just gonna put these in whole, right into our broth. And as I said, I'm gonna use my meat masher or my mix and chop, but that's what it's actually called, the Pampered Chef product. I'm gonna use that when the chicken is done. So I can just get in there and break that chicken up a little bit, just make it a little bit easier to eat. I don't really want chunks. I'm not feeling that tonight. That's what I love about being able to cook in your own kitchen and make your own food. You get to do it with whatever you feel like. Tonight, I just don't feel like chunk chicken in my soup. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do it with my mix and chop. I'm gonna get it mixed up that way. It's gonna be incredible. We're gonna go about 10 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll get our bread going. All right, friends, look at this dough. Is that not crazy? It's huge. All right, we're gonna cut this in half because we're gonna make 2 loaves of French bread. I'm gonna have 1 for tonight for dinner. And then I'm gonna save a loaf. I'm gonna take it to Life Group tomorrow night over at my friend's house. And so that's perfect. We'll have a loaf for tonight and a loaf to bring with us. So let's get this rolled out so we can get our loaves formed and get them on the pan. All right, so we need to put some flour down on our board. Not a whole lot. We don't want to heavily flour this. We just want to lightly flour it. I'm going to take my rings off again because I really don't want to get dough in my rings. Okay, we're going to spread our flour out real quick on our board. We're going to dump our dough out. Friends, look at this dough. Good grief. As I said, it's been almost 2 years since I've made French bread, and this is bringing back all the memories. So I am excited about this. We're going to cut this one in half so we end up with 2 loaves of bread. I'm going to set this clump aside. We're going to take this one. So they tell you to roll this. I don't roll French bread. I just like to form it with my hands. I like to get in there and just really push it out with my fingers. I never used a rolling pin at the sorority house when I made French bread, and I made French bread every single week. I made it multiple times a week. And I never used a rolling pin. It was always free form, just using my hands, getting it stretched out. So we want to get this all pushed out. It's a little bit thin right here in the center, but I think it's going to be okay. We're going to fold this. They tell you to roll it. I never did roll my French bread. I always did it in thirds. Fold my corners over, get those pinched, get my roll. This one does not look super beautiful, but you know what, friends? I think it's still gonna taste good. I'm not worried about that. I'm not quite sure how I have that little seam right there, but we're gonna get this put on our sheet pan. Let's put just a little bit more flour down. All right, this one, we're going to get this one stretched out. I'm going to fold this one again like we did the other one, fold it up into thirds. On top of itself, going to fold our corner, our end in. I'm going to flip this over. And then I like to just take my hand and shape it. Make sure we have a good uniform piece. Make sure we've got our sides all pinched in. All right, there's our second loaf. There's our loaves of French bread. They're gonna rise for another half hour before they can go in the oven, and they're gonna be amazing, friends. All right, friends, our chicken has been on here for a little while, and I think we are ready to come in with our chopper, and let's just chop some of this chicken up, get it broke up. It's still gonna continue to cook. It's not all the way done, but it's done enough that I can break it up now. So we're just gonna get it broke up. We're gonna add the rest of our ingredients to our soup, and we're just gonna let this cook for probably another 20 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. You can see our bread right here is rising. It's got about another 20 minutes probably. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and stir in our rice Roni. We're gonna put in our seasoning packet. I'm excited that I'm using the cheddar broccoli rice Roni instead of the chicken pilaf, because this is going to be, I think, more of like a cheddar broccoli soup kind of. I do have some, I think I have some cheddar cheese, or maybe I'll see what I've got in the fridge as far as cheeses go, because I think we'll add a little bit of extra cheese to this. I'm going to put in a can of cream of chicken soup. And it calls for an 8-ounce brick of cream cheese. I am going to put in a container of chive and onion cream cheese instead, because why not add flavor wherever we can? We've got an opportunity to add some extra flavor to this soup, and I think adding that chive and onion cream cheese is going to be amazing. I think it's going to give us some amazing taste or amazing flavor in this soup. My can opener is giving me an issue. There we go. It was just having a little issue. All right, let's get all of our soup put in here. We're gonna get that soup stirred around in here. I'm gonna wait to put my cream cheese in because I don't want to put it in too early. I've got some grated carrots here. My husband puts these in his salad, but it calls for some grated carrot. I'm not gonna grate carrot when I've already got some in the fridge grated already. So we're just gonna add a couple of handfuls because they're gonna cook down. They're gonna get nice and soft. All right, friends, we're going to put our lid on this. We're going to let this simmer for probably 15-20 minutes. We want our rice to get done. Then we're going to add in some broccoli. I don't want to put it in too early because I'm one of these people with texture. I don't like broccoli that's super, super mushy. So I want it to still have a little texture to it. So we're going to cook our soup. We'll put our cream cheese in. We'll put our broccoli in. We're maybe put a little extra cheese in it. And then I think we may add a little heavy cream. I'm going to see how the texture is or how the creaminess is to the soup. And I may add a little extra heavy cream to it just to see if I want it to be a little creamier. But for right now, it's got the lid on it. It's going to cook for about 15-20 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll finish our soup. Our bread's going to go in the oven probably right now. It's looking pretty good, friends. So I think we're going to go ahead and pull our plastic wrap off of this, and we are going to get this bread in the oven because it is looking beautiful. We're going to brush it with some melted butter when it comes out. All right, friends, this soup smells incredible. Oh my word. So we're gonna go ahead and get our cream cheese put in. I've just got, like I said, a container of chive and onion. I don't know if I'm gonna put it all in. I might just put half and see what it looks like with just that in there. I put in about 3/4 of it, so we'll go with that. Give this a stir with my spatula to get that all off of there. We don't want to waste any of that amazing cream cheese. I am so excited to eat this soup. We are back to having rain. We have had some beautiful spring weather over the last couple of weeks where we haven't had a lot of rain. It's been nice, beautiful sun, and it's just been so pretty. And today and the next couple days, it's going to be cloudy and rainy and cold and just not very pleasant. So it's going to be a perfect night to have some soup with our fresh bread. So here is our broccoli. And I went ahead and cut this up into pretty small pieces. Not super, super small because, as I said, I have a thing with textures that I am not a huge fan of super soft and very mushy type veggies. I just have never been a big fan of those. We're also going to add in a little bit of half and half, or excuse me, heavy cream. So let's go ahead and put that in here, because I think I want to thin this soup out just a hair. And we have not seasoned this with anything. We have not put any salt in this because we have salt in our cream of chicken soup. We've got salt in our broth. That Better Than Bouillon chicken has quite a bit of salt in it, so we're not gonna put any salt in. I'm gonna taste it though right now. I just want to see how we are for seasonings. Oh my gosh, friends. Oh wow. is that good. So one of my absolute favorite soups is the cheddar broccoli soup from Panera. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites. I get it every time we go there. This soup is very close to that, friends. It is very close to that. This tastes incredible. I am going to put in, let's see. I'm going to put in a little bit of garlic and herb. If you have some garlic salt, or not garlic salt, but garlic powder. If you have a little bit of a garlic seasoning that is your favorite, by all means, go ahead and use that. I just always have a ton of Pampered Chef seasonings on hand because I just like them. So I always have a bunch. But wow, friends, this is absolutely incredible soup. I will definitely be making this one over and over and over and over. All right, we're gonna put our lid back on. This is down on very, very low heat because I don't want to boil this anymore. I just want to finish cooking my broccoli, finish heating things through, get that cream cheese melted in there. And this is going to be amazing, amazing soup, friends, with our fresh French bread that's in the oven right now. That should be coming out sometime in the next probably 5 or 10 minutes. We're going to brush that with some hot melted butter. And friends, we are going to have a delicious dinner tonight. All right, friends, our French bread is ready. I am so excited to eat this. One of them doesn't look perfect, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's still going to be tasty. It's still going to be delicious. We're still going to eat it. And so, friends, let's get some butter put on these because they're still hot right out of the oven. This is the best time to get these things with some butter or some olive oil. Typically, I did it with olive oil at the house just because we had some dairy allergies and stuff. But here, we don't have dairy allergies, so we're going to go butter. So let's get these brushed. You can see how beautiful these loaves are. Like I said, this one turned out a little bit funky looking, but you know what? I don't really care. It's gonna be fine. So we're just gonna brush this with some butter. Oh my goodness, friends. This is gonna be so good. This is gonna soften up the crust a little bit on these, which is, I'm okay with that. It just makes it a really beautiful bread to slice. And as hard as it is, friends, to not cut into these when they are super hot right out of the oven, it's best to let these sit for a little bit before you try to cut into them. Just because if you cut into them, you're losing all of your steam. And that just makes for a very doughy, gummy loaf of bread. And we don't want that. We want these to have nice, light texture inside. So we're gonna resist the urge. As hard as it's going to be, we're going to resist the urge to cut these, and we're going to let these sit here and hang out for at least 20 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes before we decide to cut them. All right, friends, our soup is done. Our bread is done. Look at this loaf of bread. It smells incredible, friends. It's been cooling for a little bit. It's not super, super cool, but it's cool enough that we can cut it now. Our soup looks incredible. Look at this soup, friends. It smells so good. And as I said, this actually tastes a lot like Panera's cheddar broccoli soup. I know they don't put rice in theirs, so that's something totally different. But this smells so good, friends. I am going to be making this soup over and over and over. This will be a perfect soup for the fall, for the spring. This is going to be incredible. I can't wait to eat this. Let's give it a taste. Spoonful here. Our broccoli is not overdone. It's perfect. I decided not to add any extra cheese to it. I think it's got plenty of cheese. So let's get some chicken and some carrot and a piece of broccoli. We want all the things in that bite right there. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. So, it's hot, but I can't wait. I have to eat this now. Friends, oh my gosh. I will leave that recipe in the description box for you guys. I'll leave my notes in there that only a couple things I changed. I didn't change a whole lot in the recipe. I shredded my chicken instead of cubed it, which is not a big deal. I added a chive and onion cream cheese to it instead of the plain cream cheese that it requires or that it asks for. And I used the cheddar broccoli rice-a-roni instead of the chicken pilaf. I think it tastes better myself. I love this. This is amazing. I'm excited for my husband to taste this when he gets home. Let's cut this bread. All right, let's give this bread a taste. There's nothing like homemade bread. There isn't. I like to take a little bit of my soup, put a little of that soup on there. Oh my gosh, friends. That is so good. You have to make both these recipes. Don't let bread intimidate you. It's not hard. I used to be super intimidated by homemade bread until I had a sweet lady come alongside me. She was the house director at the sorority house when I first started there. I was always terrified to make homemade bread. But Char came alongside me in the kitchen, showed me how to make French bread. It was the first bread I'd ever made. And it was so easy. It was so fun. Now when I make homemade French bread, I have those special memories of Char in the kitchen with me. She passed away several years ago. She was 85 years old when she finally retired from the sorority house. She was the sweetest lady I'd ever met. A very special friend to me. And I still have that memory, and I love having that memory of her teaching me to make homemade French bread. That memory is going to live with me forever. Every time I make a loaf of French bread, friends, I'm going to remember Char. So friends, thank you guys so much for joining me in my kitchen as we made 2 fun recipes. I hope you guys will try these. If you do, let me know in the comments if you tried it, how you liked it. If you've done something with rice-a-roni, let me know in the comments too, because I'm still looking for some more recipes. I've got 2 more boxes in my pantry to use up to complete this 4 recipe series that I was doing on rice-a-roni. So I'm going to be doing a couple more of those, so don't miss out on those. And to make sure you don't miss out, friends, hit that subscribe button up there. I would love to have you a part of my YouTube family. It would just mean so much to me if you would join us. Hit that notification bell down there so you're notified every time we upload a new video, so you don't miss out on any of the fun that we're having around here in my kitchen. You don't miss out on any of our content that we have. And friends, it just means so much to me that you guys take time out of your day to come and spend time with me. I know your time is valuable, and it just means a lot to me that you take that time to come and see what we're doing in our kitchen. Spend time with me, hang out. I love it. I love we get to hang out together. Friends, we will talk to you guys in the comments. I love your comments, so please keep letting the comments come in. I love them. I love getting the comments. I try to respond to as many as I possibly can. So if I've missed a couple, I apologize. I am still trying to go back through my videos and find some comments that I forgot to reply to, but I do appreciate every single one of your comments. And friends, thank you so much for joining me again. Have a great day, and God bless.